news tonight as our worst fears are realized. It is Neveah Buchanan. DNA confirms that the badly decomposed remains of a small child found buried in a shallow grave covered with cement along the banks of a Detroit river last week are those of the missing 5-year-old girl. Now the investigation turns to hunting down the monster, the cretin, who did this to little Neveah. Tonight, a new and possibly critical piece of evidence has surfaced. Reports that a beer can found in that shallow grave along with the child's remains is being tested. Tested for saliva, tested for fingerprints, tested for DNA. Beer and cement. What kind of profile emerges from those facts about this killer? What does all of this now mean for Jennifer Buchanan, Neveah's mother? Will she face more tough questions like she did last night on Nancy Grace? Here is part of that interview.
You said 6:30, and then 30 minutes later, that puts it at 7. Isn't that correct? You still haven't seen your daughter. The daughter is gone. You said it gets dark around 8 or 9 o'clock. Yes, no?
9:30.
So now it doesn't get dark till almost 10 p.m. That's not true. So your child is out. It's been 30 minutes since you last saw her. Did you think maybe I should check on my preschooler, see if she's dead or alive? I mean, did that cross your mind?
No, because I knew that she was upstairs at her friend's house.
Tough but necessary questions. Jennifer Buchanan has been questioned about that timeline by the media, the police, and the FBI. Here is what she told 2 local Detroit radio hosts.
You met with the police and FBI at least 5 or 6 times. I know one interview lasted about 5 hours. Do you feel like a suspect?
All my interviews last about that long. My very first one lasted 7 hours.
Do you feel like a suspect?
No, because I know I'm completely innocent. I know I had nothing to do with my daughter's disappearance.
Meantime, 2 of Jennifer's pals, both convicted sex offenders, both persons of interest in this case, have now been thrown in the slammer. Cops say they violated the terms of their parole by being in contact with Jennifer's daughter, who is now dead. So many fast-breaking, gut-wrenching developments straight out of my expert panel. Judge Karen Mills Francis, host of Judge Karen, and former Miami-Dade County Court Judge. Judy Kuriansky, Dr. Judy, noted clinical psychologist. Bradford Cohen, criminal defense attorney. Drew Finley, Atlanta criminal defense attorney, and Dave Murray, special assignments editor at the Toledo Blade, who joins me by phone. Dave, you've been tracking this case. Dare I ask, what is the very latest?
Well, the very latest you've reported, and that is that they've identified the body as that of Neveah. And the community is, even though they knew that this was probably the case, the community's shocked. They have reporters and photographers up there with the family, and they're having a very difficult time with this.
Yeah, I think we all are. People don't realize that it's not just the community and the family, it's the police. They have their own kids. Those people right there near the river collecting evidence, they have children. They're feeling it. The reporters are feeling it. Everybody is devastated when you get the news and you know for sure that that beautiful child whose face we've been seeing on television for weeks now is dead. Neveah's uncle Michael reacted to the heartbreaking news about the DNA match just moments ago.
Feel a lot of sadness inside, but at the same time, I'm happy for all the help our family's got. So I just wanted to let everyone know, thank you.
Dr. Judy Kuriansky, how could anybody even attempt to find closure, the family, the community, when there could be a killer out on the loose in that community?
No question about that, Jane. When somebody is on the loose who has done such a heinous crime, murdering a child, covering the cement, throwing in a beer can, you've petrified the entire community for what could happen to their kids. And you also have alerted them and alerted all mothers and fathers to what can happen to their children. There's been a rage of these cases.
What do you make of the cement and the beer? Because I know you are amazing at psychological analysis. When you see those two pieces of the puzzle, what does it tell you about this killer?
Well, it tells me for sure that these are men who have absolutely no concern for human life, that they are extremely callous, that they are very crude also as human beings, with no respect and disrespect for anyone at any age, frightening too. And I am concerned it's a really, we've heard about cases where the children are put in suitcases, which are available to people, and water coolers, as we've heard cases about it. This is cement, so it shows something. There's construction in the history there, and there's also potentially some kind of crooks. The mafia does these things. These are psychologically what you look for.
And what I said, the first thing I thought of when I heard the beer can is alcoholic.
An alcoholic,
Alcoholic or a drug addict.
Exactly.
Now that the remains have been positively identified as Neveah's, investigators have to determine a cause of death. That may prove difficult to impossible. There were reportedly no outward signs of trauma. If Neveah was buried for almost 2 weeks in the hot weather, evidence showing signs of drowning or strangulation could be gone. Drew Findling, criminal defense attorney, you have covered so many of these cases. What are we going to do about finding cause of death with this badly decomposed body?
Well, obviously, they have preserved the integrity of that crime scene to the best possible degree they can. We know that they have employed the use of the FBI in this case, so they have, from a forensic standpoint, they have the options of going local or they have the options of going federal in terms of an autopsy. I would not be surprised to see them do everything possible. Again, we've seen, Jane, that there was a very quick DNA response. And I know on this show before, you've questioned in other cases why it takes so long, but we're now seeing that locals are not hesitating to draw on federal and bigger agencies to help them get a quick turnaround. And so there's a great lesson to be learned, and I think we're going to see that in the autopsy as well.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. We thought it was going to be weeks, and it was just days. Now, of course, let's go to the two persons of interest in this case, two paroled sex offenders who were initially named persons of interest in the case. Back in the slammer, both Roy Smith and George Kennedy, both pals of Neveah's mom, admitted that they violated their parole by having contact with Jennifer's 5-year-old daughter, Neveah, the child who is now tragically dead. Both will now finish their original sentences. Now, get this, people. For Smith, that means he could spend an additional 35 years in prison. And for Kennedy, it could mean he will spend possibly 13 more years in prison. Now, listen to what Jennifer, the mom, said about Kennedy on Detroit's Channel 955 radio.
I'm pretty sure that probably someone associated with George or his girlfriend or a few other, I don't know.
Why would they want to hurt Neveah or take Neveah?
I don't know. That's a question only that who did it can answer.
Would they do it because they wanted to get back at him for something?
Maybe, or maybe George might have owed someone money.
Is that something you know about?
No.
Her doubts, Judge Karen Mills, come a little too late. Last night, even on Nancy Grace, she was saying everyone deserves a second chance. You don't give convicted sex offenders a second chance by putting them with your child. You don't give an alcoholic a second chance by putting a bottle of vodka in front of them. In fact, if these guys have nothing to do with the murder of Neveah, she's also destroyed their lives. They're going back to the slammer for years.
You know, when this child was first reported missing, what she said to the press was that George Kennedy was like a father to this child. Now she's been backpedaling and she's saying, oh no, he was never with her by himself. As a matter of fact, anytime he came over to visit, I would meet him outside and leave Neveah in the house. And you know, I just heard today on the radio that the child's name Neveah is heaven backwards.
Yeah.
And now she's in heaven. And I think it's atrocious. And when she says that probably somebody associated with George had something to do with it, and he owed somebody, why would somebody take revenge against this little girl?
Excellent question. We will analyze more of the shocking tragedy on the way. Does Jennifer Buchanan bear blame for putting Neveah in harm's way? Give me a call, 1-877-JVM says, 1-877-586-7297. Let me know then in the wake of David.
Want to say a quick hello to everybody? Hi, everybody. It's me. The little guy that barks at everybody. Okay. Oh, we're running out of time. Gotta run. Say bye. Are you standing on your hind legs? Quick, do it again. Do you want a cookie? Oh, we'll get your cookie. Okay.